All right, good morning, everybody. It is Friday, August 11th, 2023. It's going to be a day of contacts. So RWT Connect and the websites, different places where your contacts are, making sure everything is straight. Please note for future reference, if you're watching on YouTube, some of these things may have changed or tweaked a little bit since Kristen's recording this video. Without further ado, I'm going to turn over to Kristen Fredericks to go over how to get, find, sort, keep, track down all your contacts and all your Berkshire Hathaway RW Town Realty sources. Thank you, Kristen.
All right, thank you. I am Tim. I am on one screen today. If you don't mind, if you or Haley can do some room control for me.
I got you.
Thank you so much. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen today. Minimize everybody here. All right, today we're going to be talking about contacts in RWT Connect and in Marketing Resource and in Sage CRM, which is in the global intranet for BHHS. So it's the marketing resource. This has come about because we've had a lot of different questions about where do my contacts go, how do I work them, what are best practices for working with my contacts. So this is less about kind of a how-to and more of an overview on where everything is. We've done a couple of how-tos already, and you can find those in the training library. If you're on RWT Connect and you scroll all the way down, you'll see a coaching and training section right here. If you go ahead and click that, you'll see the training YouTube channel or the company training videos. Both of them will have all of the different trainings in there. You'll want to take a look for things like working with my contacts or contacts, Sage CRM, and marketing resource in there. We've done a couple of extra classes on expanding on some of these topics in there as well. Just a reminder, everything is recorded, and we do put it up on the YouTube channel. So if you do miss anything for whatever reason, do go ahead and take a look. You can always reference those at any time. All right, so I am in RWT Connect today for right now, and I'm actually working as one of our agents, and we have some contacts in here. So RWT Connect, of course, is our local intranet. So this is exclusive to us here at RW Town Realty. This is where we can connect our third-party vendors that we work with. This is where all of the leads and contacts and things like that are managed that come out of our site builder websites, for example, or anything that you happen to also put into the system with your clients and contact lists right here. So our leaderboard here is going to show us a couple of different things, but one of the things it's going to show here is our total contacts under this particular agent. So we have 82 total contacts in here. So the difference between RWT Connect's contacts and the contacts up at the Global Resource Center, so this is the BHHS Resource Center, which is the global intranet, will be that the global stuff is also connected to all of our different global tools. So this is going to be connected to Marketing Resource. These are going to be connected to the Sage CRM. This is going to be something that's connected to some of the Chalk digital advertising options that they have. But those two can actually talk to each other. And this is the first thing that I want to cover today. If you have not had an opportunity before you put your contacts in, before you work with your contacts in either one of these systems, I want you to go onto the Resource Center and I want you to make sure that your App Exchange is turned on. That App Exchange is basically going to just tell BHHS and RWT Connect that, hey, you're allowed to talk to each other and we want you to talk to each other to make sure that our contacts sync. Now, why is it important to start out with this? Because the sync only works from the time you turn it on. So for example, if you put in 500 contacts into either RWT Connect or you put them into Sage and you don't have that button turned on, it won't sync down into the other program or sync up into the other program. It will only start to sync after you've turned on the button. So contact number 501 will sync between the two systems, but the other 500 won't. We do a lot of manual moves. If you've forgotten to do it, totally okay. Just drop a note to web support. We actually have a couple tickets in there now to manually move some contacts. But if you haven't had a chance to work with your contacts yet, do make sure that we're going to go in and make sure that this button is checked. So up here in your upper right-hand corner is your photo. And if I click that, you're going to see something called My Profile. And if I click on My Profile, it's going to bring up your profile that controls a lot of your BHHS stuff. So this is your profile actually controls all the different offices that you're in and all the information that goes into things like your marketing resource and e-cards and things like that. you're looking for a button right here called App Exchange Agent Access, right here. Okay. And if I click on that, we're going to give it just a second to load here. And screen share can be just a hair slow. All right. And it's going to ask us if we've connected. So this agent is connected. We have a nice big green dot right here that says we are connected. If you are not connected for whatever reason, this is red and it says not connected on here. And Reliance is the vendor behind RWT Connect in our website. So this is the vendor that we want to connect to. If you're not connected for whatever reason, your buttons look like this. They're red. All you have to do is go ahead and toggle them over to green. And all we're telling them is that, hey, if we put anything in Sage CRM or Marketing Resource, we want to send it down to RWT Connect. And if we put anything in RWT Connect, we want to send it up to BHHS as well. So basically, this is just turning on that two-way street. Each one of those buttons is important because it requires both of them so they can talk to each other back and forth. If you've made any changes here, go ahead and click Save. And once we click Save, you should see that connected button turn green. And you should be all set. Now, remember, this is as of the time I connected that piece right here. So if we had contacts in BHHS Resource Center in Sage, or if we had contacts in RWT Connect, they're not going to sync. We'll have to do a manual move on that. But that's okay. It's fairly easy to get contacts in and out of these systems. And that's what I want to show you next is where you can go to get your contacts in and out of these various systems so that you can move them. You can also enter your contacts in here. All right, we've done the button, so we know that we're ready to go. I'm actually going to go back to RWT Connect. So again, this is our local intranet. This is where we house your website and updating it. This is where we have all of our different tools and things like that for our own company. So if I go to work on our contacts up here, I'm going to go to Clients and then Contact List. And it's going to bring up a whole big list of contacts here. If we are looking to import or export your contacts, I want you to go all the way down to the very bottom. So just keep scrolling, 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 scrolling all the way down to the bottom. And you're going to see a couple of things here. You're going to see import, export, and of course, delete. I want to take a look at import first. So this is bringing clients in. So if you have a database coming from somewhere else, this can include your old websites. It can include an Excel spreadsheet. It can include your Outlook contact file or a Gmail contact file. Whatever it happens to be, that all that information we can go ahead and import in here. The really important part of this, though, is that our system requires a specific header in order to field match the contact profile. If those headers don't match in that Excel spreadsheet when it goes in, it doesn't know what to do with the data. So I want to scroll down here. Remember, we hit that import button and I'm going to scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. And you're going to see that it says here is the example CSV file, and it's going to say contacts.csv. This is going to give you that template where you can go ahead and just maybe copy and paste a bunch of stuff in here, or you can, have your assistant enter your contacts in here. You can pop all of your different information into this CSV, and then we can go ahead and upload a nice clean document, and it will know exactly what to do with this. Here's something interesting about this document when it goes in too. It's going to give you a lot of different fields. You don't have to have all of these fields filled out in order for you to go ahead and upload. Just fill in as much information as you can. It's going to take a first contact. It's also going to take a second contact, and you can put all the different details in there for each of those different contacts. Some of these things come in handy for things like e-cards and drip campaigns. So if you have a birthday or a home anniversary or wedding anniversary, go ahead and put it in there because we actually have e-campaigns, nice little drip campaigns that go out on those specific dates. Our system also allows us to send marketing emails to both contacts on a single client contact card. So for example, if you are working with a couple and you have one as first and you have one as second, and you're sending out property watch notifications, those are those new listing emails and things like that, they're going to get a single email. They don't have to have duplicate emails and duplicate searches for them. A couple of other things that are important in here, if you have an opportunity to do this before you put in your contacts, you do have the ability to do a contact type, and they can be different contacts. So they can be a buyer, seller, agent, things like that. Notice that you're going to want to separate those types with a semicolon. So when you put them into that spreadsheet, if they're both a buyer and a seller for you, for example, you'll just do the buyer semicolon seller, and notice that there's no space between those two. So just put that semicolon in there. This is another big one right here is groups. Somebody asked me, how can I update my groups when they belong to more than one group before I import all these people? And you can do that exact same way. And you can make these up, which I love. So these groups can be made up right here in your spreadsheet if you want to. So for example, you could have a group that's called My Neighborhood. And if you want to add them to another group, just put a semicolon and put, past client 2022 or past client 2021, whatever it happens to be. I've seen contacts that were members of 15 different marketing groups for some of our agents. And it really just depends on how you want to send out your e-cards and how you want to send out any of your contact information, how you want to group things. So just think about all the ways that you communicate with your people, and you can go ahead and create those groups. Just remember, make sure that your spelling on those groups is exactly the same from contact to contact. And also if you have any spacing or things like that. So if you're doing My Neighborhood, make sure it's My space neighborhood, and don't put somebody else in as neighborhood because they'll go into actually two different groups when you go ahead and upload it. So just make sure you have that nice consistency on there. So these are all the valid formats or the valid headers that we have for the contact information in RWT Connect. You'll be able to, again, use as much as you want to or as little as you want to. Once you have that spreadsheet and you've created that spreadsheet, then you can go ahead and import it. So if I go ahead and click next on here, it's just going to ask me to go ahead and choose that file to be able to upload my contacts. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and choose it. I'm going to hit next. I don't want to go through this because I'm actually on an agent one. There's only 2 more steps in here. One is going to ask you what you want to do with the duplicates. Most of the time you can choose to either overwrite them or append them. It just depends on whether you're working with a contact list that you've already put in here or if this is brand new. And the other question that you might see in here is, do you want to activate these as clients? As web clients? And the answer should always be yes. They don't receive anything from you when you click that box now. All it does is it sets them up to be able to have that client dashboard in the future, or for you to set them up to be able to have those saved searches and property notifications in the future if you want them. If you don't click that box when you do a big upload like this, you'll have to go back and do it manually for each person later. So it's just easier to go ahead and check the box that says yes, just make them all web clients. It's totally fine. It doesn't change anything else in the system. Once you get to that end screen, it's going to actually let you know if there were any problems or not. And it's going to let you know which contacts had issues. So you can always go back and correct them and get those into the system as well. All right, so now I want to go up to our global intranet at BHHS. Okay, I'm going to go back to my home screen here. So I've gone to BHHS resource, and again, this is the global resource for this. And let's talk about that Sage CRM. So we know that contacts need to be in here in order to use the drip campaigns coming out of Marketing Resource, which of course are different than the drip campaigns coming out of RWT Connect. We also know that the contacts need to be in Sage CRM in order for you to use them in some of our Chalk digital products that target digital ads against your database. So that's what most people are using Sage CRM for. They're not necessarily using it as the actual CRM. It is a really complicated CRM as far as just kind of keeping up with everything that needs to happen in there. To work your clients. It's really being used as a clearinghouse in order to have those contacts available for other tools that are easier to use, like the targeting digital ads out of Chalk Digital, or just sending e-cards or drip campaigns out of Marketing Resource. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Sage CRM. And I want you to notice something. Notice that the number of total contacts here is 55, which means there were probably 20 or 30 contacts that were in RWT Connect before that button was pushed, because remember, this agent was already connected. So you can see this is probably a sync after that button was pushed. So we'll probably have to go ahead and put those other 20 or 30 contacts that were in RWT Connect up here for this agent if they requested it. So working with your contacts in Sage CRM is just a little bit different. So if you go up to your contacts up here, Give it a chance to load here. It's just going to let us know what's available by using our contacts if this is one of the first times that you've used this. Okay. I want you to notice this contact importer right here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And I want you to notice it's a really similar type of exercise to get your contacts in Sage CRM, except for one thing. Notice it's saying to access the contact import template, click here. Sage CRM actually has its own contact import template. So their headers are a little bit different than the headers that are in RWT Connect. They are two different systems. While the systems do, of course, talk to each other if you've had an opportunity to push that button beforehand. If you haven't and you need to upload your contacts in Sage CRM for whatever reason, you'll want to use their template that's there. So you can go ahead and click, it'll go ahead and download the Sage CRM tool sample right here, and it's going to have a couple of different headers available to it. The contact list for RWT Connect is fairly straightforward. It's mostly generalized contact information. I wanted to show you, however, what the Sage CRM contact upload looks like because some people are getting really intimidated by it. Let me go ahead and show you what some of these headers are here. They don't have a nice little list there. So the Sage CRM is going to ask you for a lot more information than you could probably possibly provide to a CRM system. And again, you do not have to have all this information in order for it to go up into Sage CRM. But I also wanted you to notice that some of these headers don't exist in RWT Connect. Some of this information can't be synced just because it doesn't exist. But Sage CRM is looking for some of the more personal information, things like their profile information. You can put in some of their incomes and employers, whether they're opting in or out of email, Facebook's, whether you want them to be in some kind of engagement plan, and that will change if you actually put them in an engagement plan later. And then it's also asking for different things like your transaction types, lifestyle interest in, contact types, and your lead categories. I find that most people are really comfortable just not filling in a lot of the stuff that's just confusing, like the lifestyle or the lead categories or things like that. And it's okay if you don't put anything in there. You can always go back and put some of that stuff later if you want to, or if you're running some kind of digital advertising, the system may update itself in order to put them in certain marketing buckets as people click through and as people look at different types of property. So while this looks intimidating, do remember, really, the only thing you need is a first name, last name, and email address. That's probably the most common thing that we put in here. And if you don't have any of this other information, it's okay to not put it in. Don't be overwhelmed by this spreadsheet for Sage CRM. Okay. Save that. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and upload that file if we need to. So we'll go ahead and upload the file. This system is actually going to make sure that your field matching is working correctly. So it's going to make sure that all of your different fields are correct. So first name is going into first name, last name is going into last name. It's actually going to ask you to double check to make sure it has field matched everything correctly. And then you'll go ahead and finish up your import. It's really that simple in this system. So just upload the file, make sure it all matches, and then complete your import. We do notice that it takes a few minutes for the Sage CRM to process all of your contacts that are coming in. So what it's doing is the system is actually verifying those email addresses. It's just making sure that the system is compliant, making sure all the information is where it needs to be and things like that. So once you put your contacts in here, do not be alarmed if you do not see your contacts in your overall contact button here right away. We've seen it take 2 minutes. I've also seen it take about an hour for these contacts to be able to be imported up here as well.
Hey, Kristen,
Yes,
we have a hand up.
sure, go ahead.
Hi, Kristen. I am a little confused. If we have already uploaded everything under the RWT Connect and imported all of our contacts there under that system, and we already did all of the connections so that they save and communicate between each other, why are we also then uploading it into the BHHS resource Sage CRM?
You don't have to if you push that app button before you uploaded your contacts. then everything should be syncing correctly from the time you put your initial contacts in. We just have some people who did not, or also want to import clients into Sage CRM. So I wanted
Okay.
to just make sure we went over both of those.
Oh, okay. So if I'm following those instructions, I've got the contacts, the connection green, and I've imported everything through RWT Connect. Then when I open up BHHS resource into Sage CRM, then it'll say that I have the same number of contacts. It'll automatically know they're there.
Correct. And if the number of contacts aren't exactly the same, it just means that there might not be a valid email address when the sync happened. So sometimes it's off by just a few. So
Awesome. Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, so the next place that we're actually going to see all of those contacts and we're going to need to be able to work with them is in Marketing Resource. So Marketing Resource is where we can send out e-cards and we can send out flyers and we can send out all sorts of fun information in here. And it has its own contact system up in here as well. I did want to note, though, that when you go to send a drip campaign, these contacts need to actually exist in Sage CRM in order for this to work. So this is why kind of everything all works together in this system. So if I click contacts up in here, notice it's going to be a little bit different. And again, this agent had contacts in here before that button was pushed. So not everything is going to sync up in this direction here. I want you to know that in Marketing Resource, and this is true for Marketing Resource only, you only need an email address in order to put somebody into this system. So because the system is basically based on e-cards and being able to mail things out, that if the only piece of information you have is an actual email address, that's all that's going to be required in here. Also, if a contact does not have an email address for whatever reason in one of our other systems, it won't be in here because the system does actually require an email address for this to work. So this is, if you only have first name, last name, and a mailing address, you're not going to see that contact in this section here, just because this requires an email address in here. Okay.
We have another hand up.
Sure, go ahead.
Good, Stacy. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, this is actually Lisa Tucky. I was wondering if we can import our contacts from our RW Town emails.
So if you are in Outlook, there is an exporter in Outlook to be able to export the contacts that you have saved in your Outlook. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Did want to note that there is a difference between the contacts that you've saved in Outlook and in our global address book for the company. The export for the global address book is not able to be exported, but you can if you have business contacts or people you've contacted personally and you've saved them as contacts in your Outlook. So, all right, are there any other questions on these contacts? Okay. If we don't have any questions on the contacts, this is just an overview of where all the contacts are going and how they're talking to each other this morning.
Kristen, I think another hand just went up.
Oh, go ahead.
If we're trying to figure out the mic, thanks. So my issue is I can't figure out how to use that where we just were to send emails to the groups that I made.
So the groups in,
If you go to that resource.
When you, I think she means,
Resource.
you know how you can have the groups that are, when you do an email or a card, you go
Well, you
into
just-
the group.
Yeah, but my personal ones don't come up. Like I did one, like you said, neighbor or locals or whatever. They don't come
So-
up. All I get is the global stuff.
so in order to send in groups in RWT Connect, you'll have to send it out of here because the groups actually don't talk to each other quite yet.
Aha.
Yep, and otherwise you'll have to go ahead and group everybody up here. One of the things I do like, however, is that you can export by group in RWT Connect, and you can import by group in Marketing Resource. So if you actually want to recreate your groups, it's fairly easy to be able to just export by group and then import them into Marketing Resource by group as well.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
So I have to create
Any other questions?
I don't see any, Kristen.
All right, then we'll go ahead and wrap up this session for today on contacts, and hopefully you'll join me at the 11 o'clock class when I'm going to show you how to send out some drip campaigns and e-cards to all the various contacts that are in your system. Thanks so much.
All right, and I want to thank Kristen for being here and give a little quick promo for some more